So yesterday was the anniversary of 13 Reasons Why, and it made like 8 years since its creation. And I was talking to my brother about it last night because since time has passed, he's had a child, and I was just asking him, some of the challenges of being a parent on his firstborn, and we were just talking about like some of the comparison of the characters and 13 Reasons Why, and things we went through when we were adolescents growing up, at the school we went to. And I was telling him how, so many people fail Hannah Baker because they just didn't listen, and I know like a lot of people I was seeing on X, they were saying how gruesome a lot of the scenes were, as far as like the rape scenes, and talking about it was a lot of sexual assault scenes that was just too graphic. But the reality is, these are things that transpire in high school. You know what I'm saying? Even in lower grades. I mean, even now, teachers are like, you see it more common now. Teachers are like molesting kids. Um, and they probably could have put that in there, but they probably was like, well, we didn't already stirred the hornet's nest with scenes like the broom scene where the dude get, raped in there. But nevertheless, we was just talking about how important it is to communicate with your offspring and have, daily conversations, because you never know like what could be the breaking point um of a person or individual, and you could miss it, especially being a parent, because it's like, Hannah Baker parents, they had, they were just in their own world and handling what they go through as adults. And even the counselor in 13 Reasons Why, like, he was like the last straw. Like, he didn't even see what was taking place. But I just believe that, regardless of the scenes that was, graphic with suicide and things like that. I think 13 Reasons Why was an important show that I appreciated, just to bring attention to how important it is, man, to pick up on social cues with kids and know the signs that they could be facing, severe mental health issues. And everybody deals with pain in different ways. Some people can wear a smile on their face and be productive at work and be productive in school and still be willing to kill themselves. Um, the girl from oh man, I think her name is Haley. She played at LSU, Louisville, and then she finished her career the other night with TCU. But she talked about how she's been battling depression and suicide, and because of a girl that was a goalie that ended up committing suicide, she finally decided to, seek help. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I would have never guessed you was depressed, because you're extremely successful, attractive, and you got money. And she's going through it. And that was just another sign. Like, I wonder like what that conversation was like with her parents, when they found out like their child, was suicidal. Um 13 Reasons Why, uh regardless of how, graphic the scenes are and things like that, those type of topics, man. And it's not just a black community or white community. It's like people don't like having certain conversations, and they don't even want to believe that their child, will be willing to kill themselves. But not having conversations, especially tough conversations, hinder the development of children. Because my brother and I, we were speaking about like what we went through in school, and our parents, didn't catch it. And this ain't like my biological brother. Like, we just that close as friends. Because I battled anxiety in school and didn't even know what that was anxiety until I got in college and took psychology. I'm like, oh, that's what that was. That's why I acted the way I did. I had band directors, man, that would come to school intoxicated, and they would just do the most, throwing drumsticks, flipping stuff over, and even showed signs of verbal abuse. So it affected me to the point I just shut down like in my regular classes, because I'd be replaying some of the things that transpired that morning, because that was the first thing I did in the morning at school. I had band practice, and I just fell off with my academic, I fell off in academics, with my in classes, because I was always just replaying it in my mind. But I never thought about killing myself or nothing like that. Hell no, I was never on that. But it just deterred my focus, And I my mom, instead of just asking me, because I ended up flunking, instead of just asking me like, how you go from making the honor roll to flunking, it's like you ain't. She didn't never pick up on the signs and talk to me about what was going on a day to day basis until I finally had enough. I cussed the band directors out. Then I'm in the office. I was a good kid. I ain't never get in trouble. So they like, yo, why you spazzing like that? You ain't even known for that. You ain't never been suspended. So that was just an example of, if she had just, had conversations with me, that would have never happened. So the point I'm making is you got to pick up on the cues, man. You have to communicate, especially if you have younger children. You got to talk to them and ask them what's going on a day to day basis, because you can't put nothing past nobody. I got friends, that I didn't notice until we got older, but they admitted to me they were molested and things like that, and it was from someone out the family. You don't want to think a family member would do something so gruesome. You know what I'm saying? And I even had a friend. She told her mom that her brother, which was her uncle, was touching on her inappropriately, and her mom told her, "Well, that's just how he show love." Come on, man. This is why people don't even talk about stuff, because that's crazy to say something like that. Like your child is already feeling uncomfortable as it is, and you're just saying that's just how he is. So some people just like emotions like Hannah, like you get into like a quicksand of a death. Like she was dead before she actually committed the act. She was dying because she felt so alone and felt so isolated, felt like nobody understood who she was. That's such a lonely place to be. And I pray I never experienced nothing like that. And I'm also praying for people that's feeling that way right now, that by the grace of God they find a way out of it. That's got to be such a lonely place. I wanted to put this video out yesterday, but I was going through some technical difficulties. But I just wanted to highlight the show 13 Reasons Why, and give a introspective statement, with thoughts, a series of thoughts about how I feel about it years later, and just, my growth mentally, and seeing situations that correlate to the show, and how effective the directors and the writers were executing things that I've seen in reality, and my heart goes out to people that's committed suicide. Unfortunately, there are, some people that I know that committed suicide, and my prayers is always, that God had mercy on them, because to do something like that, you definitely had to be in a place where you just felt like it was no other way out. I don't really have thoughts on why people do it, and I won't ever say that was wrong or right, because it's just a place where you wouldn't understand unless you were there. But those are my thoughts on it, man. If you watch the show 13 Reasons Why, man, or if you haven't, drop a comment, and I think everyone should watch it just for educational purposes, especially if you have children. If you made this far to the video, I want to say thank you for watching. I thank you. I'm grateful. Please subscribe to the God Level Genius YouTube channel. I am James Vergado, and as always, be God Level. The genius is in you. God Level Genius.